This is Ivan from That's My Entertainment. I'm here with Courtney Solomon.
Hey, how you doing, Ivan?
Pretty good, pretty good. So we're here to talk about your movie Getaway that's coming out pretty soon. When is it coming out?
Labor Day weekend, August 30th.
Labor Day. We'll look for it. And it has Ethan Hawke and Selena Gomez. Who else is in the movie?
John Voight's in the movie. It's actually a small cast, and a couple of other players. Bruce Payne, Rebecca Budig, and a bunch of Eastern European people because we shot it in Bulgaria.
Great, great. How was working in Bulgaria? Was it very different than?
I've made a few movies in Bulgaria. It's kind of like interesting. It's like a very happy and sort of like crew that's trying to get a lot done and just sort of anxious. But we were there in the middle of the winter shooting like a whole bunch of action sequences like in the freezing cold of the night because the whole movie takes place at night. And so it was, pretty crazy. I mean, to say the least.
I bet. And it's, fast cars. Did you guys have a lot of trouble with them skidding and getting into trouble, or?
Well, actually, we did this movie kind of like they did the original Fast and the Furious. Okay. So we actually wrecked 130 cars making this movie. When you see it or you see the trailer or whatever it is you see, everything in there is real. That was something we prided ourselves on. And so there's no CG as far as the car crashes and wrecks. So there was a lot of skidding, a lot of mistakes that happened within trying to do what we were trying to do for the film. Because it was those conditions. Sometimes it would snow, you'd have black ice on the roads, and we had some of the best stunt drivers in the world. But I mean, these cars are going 60 miles an hour and purposely trying to crash into each other, flip in the air, smash into a building. We had a car driving across a train, going through exploding train cars. I mean, and all that stuff that you see is real. So it was very dangerous. And every time we would do it, I would be holding my breath because I kind of be like the guy telling them, do it better and do it harder and faster. And, meanwhile, I'm don't let anything go wrong. Yeah, so it was pretty intense.
Sounds great. And how long did it take to make the movie? A lot of people don't realize that it sometimes takes a lot. Was this one of those that took a really long time?
It did, because part of the story is the bad guy is watching Ethan Hawke and Selena Gomez in the car. And they're doing what he's telling them to do, obviously. And so he's got 9 cameras on the inside of the car, 17 cameras on the outside of the car, and he's linked into all the street cameras and every other camera you could think of in this city. So on any given shot, we'd have between 26 and 42 cameras shooting. So when it came to editing the movie, first of all, shooting the movie was almost 80 days of filming. Then when it came to actually editing the movie, we had 630 hours of source footage. So to give you a comparison, a normal movie might give you 20-odd hours. Okay, so just to look through the footage we had, you'd have to spend a whole lot of time before you could start to edit anything. And there's 4 times as many edits in this movie as a normal movie. So it took a total of about 19 months to make this movie, start to finish.
That's great. So is there anything you were really excited about in the movie? Something that kind of stood out that we should look out for?
I mean, I was excited about the whole concept of it because really it's like an adrenaline rush from moment number one. In this movie, the movie starts and it literally goes at 100 miles an hour until it finishes. And the idea, it takes place over one night, and it's a very intense night, and the stakes for Ethan's character is the life of his wife. And so, if there any one thing there were so many great sequences in the movie. I love the concept of it in the first place, and we tried to make it very real, as if, well, what's if something like this happened to you? In Ethan's case, he's an ex-NASCAR driver, and the plan that this guy has surrounds, something where he needs a perfect driver. But what's if somebody took somebody important to you, your family member, your girlfriend, your wife, that was dear to you and made you do something that you were great at and you had no choice, and maybe it was right and maybe it was wrong, and what decision do you make? So that I liked about the movie. There's some great sequences. The train sequence I just absolutely love. Literally the cars driving across the train, being chased by motorcycles, being shot at, going through exploding train cars, and it was just, you could even feel it when we were shooting it because it was so dangerous for the drivers actually doing it, because we did it really. You really got to see it happen and do it.
Yeah.
So that sequence is probably my favorite sequence in the movie.
When I saw the trailer, it kind of reminded me of the movie Phone Booth with Colin Farrell. Kind of like that. Is there movies that felt inspired with? I feel like
Yeah.
Phone Booth and Fast and Furious, but I don't know.
Well, Fast and Furious because of the cars, obviously, and it's intense. And the Shelby Super Snake. You know, I always say there's three main characters in the movie. It's Ethan Hawke, Selena Gomez, and the Shelby Super Snake. You know, because it's right there with them. It's tried and true, and with that, the three of them are a unit. But that being said, I mean, I always sort of think it's got a phone booth element to it because you've got this strange guy on the other end of the phone who we don't show you, and you don't know what he's doing or why he's making them do this stuff. And yet it's so claustrophobic because they have to do it. He says they're not allowed to leave the car. They're not allowed to get out of the car. So there's phone booth. And I would say it's also a combination of like phone booth meets Taken meets Speed. If you want to, compare it to movies. Taken just in so much as his wife was taken. Yeah, and so it's that much of that. And he's got to, try to get her back, obviously. So there's that similarity, I guess. And Speed, just because it really is, a non-stop crazy ride all the way through the movie. So, in that regard, that's what it is. But it's a fun movie. It's an enjoyable, entertaining, fun movie. And there's a lot of stuff in there that you haven't seen with cars before. I guess it's different too when you appreciate that, wow, like people actually did this. I mean, the new original Fast and Furious, they really did the stunts, they really did the car crashes. And then, of course, the franchise got bigger, and we all love the franchise. More money, more money, more money. And the new one is really, it's cool. But, I mean, a lot of it is CG, and we know it's CG just by what they're doing. We still enjoy it. And there was a lot of demand when we were reading online. People were going, why isn't anybody making like an original Steve McQueen Bullet movie, for example, or the classic car movies? Why aren't they doing them that way anymore? And so we just made a proactive decision and said that's why we'll do it. And that was part of the reason we did it in Bulgaria, because you can't do the stuff we did actually legally in the United States.
They're less strict over there.
Yes, they are. There's not quite as many rules. Let's put it that way. You're not allowed to have cars, being tossed through the streets and the buildings and get away with it in America. It just doesn't happen. So, I think it makes the movie different because people appreciate that, wow, there was real danger for the people making the movies, from the crew and the camera people to the stunt people to everybody involved, and it just makes it more fun.
Right. And Courtney, so you directed this movie, and you also have After Dark Films, correct? So what really gets you up in the morning? What's the inspiration? You wake up and you're like, this is what I really want to do.
Well, I mean, directing's my favorite thing to do, but I love the movies we make with After Dark Films as well. It's a company I made and started from another movie I directed, which was An American Haunting. I mean, everything gets me up in the morning. Usually one of my dogs. I have a lot of dogs. I love dogs. So usually it's a dog that wakes me up. But, I mean, I really like filmmaking and just the whole film process. So, it's various different things. Sometimes there's a new script that's come in and an exciting new writer. I mean, you're a writer, so you know what that is. And that gets you psyched because then you start to envision, well, what we could turn this into. And then, when you're directing, it's getting up every day and going out there and saying, we're going to do the best that we can do, and we're going to make this really cool. And seeing something you've been developing as a script beforehand actually come to life in front of you, that excites you. And then when you're editing, that wakes me up and excites me too, because now I get to see it all come together finally.
Yeah.
Or the mixing process. There's so many parts of filmmaking that are exciting. So, I mean, that's what gets me up in the morning, and it's better than, having some job where, you don't like your job.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Well, it was a pleasure. Is there anything else you want to add, Courtney?
No, just, what we all say, go see the movie. August 30th, theaters everywhere. Warner Brothers is putting it out, and hope everybody enjoys it.
I look forward to it. But thank you very much.
Hey,
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm Ivan. This is Courtney. This is my entertainment. What's yours?